welcome to episode 29. Oh my gosh, I can't believe 29 of the EarthtonesGirl podcast. My name is Denise, and I'm coming to you today from my home in Yonkers, New York, where I live with my husband and our two children. You can find me on the internet as EarthtonesGirl. I am most active on Instagram. I am also on Ravelry. The podcast has a Ravelry group called the EarthtonesGirl Podcast Group. And there is also an email address, which is earthtonesgirl@gmail.com. Welcome everybody to returning viewers. Welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. To new subscribers, the biggest, warmest welcome. I'm so happy that you found me and that you are here to share some time with me today. You guys, it's been a week. Oh my God, a week and a day. A week and a day. And I'm here. I cannot believe that I was able to pull this off, but I did. As always, there is so much going on, but I am rested. I am enjoying it. I'm on my surfboard, just kind of enjoying this wave that I'm riding right now. So it's really, really good. Got some things to share with you today. I'm hoping this episode is not a very long one. I just wanted to pop in and give you an update as promised from last week's episode. Let's pause right here and talk about last week's episode. You guys, if you notice, I'm trying my best right now to focus on the camera. And I'm not saying I'm going to keep that going the whole time, but right now my eyes are on the camera. I'm doing pretty good so far. The support and the feedback from so many of you, as I say every podcast, but this time I mean it even more so, blew me away so much. You guys are incredible. There were over 200 comments with love and support and about me and where I look, whether I'm looking at the camera, looking at the screen, looking at my face. One woman said, "You want feedback? Here's my feedback. Look wherever you want." It's just been amazing, and that made me feel so much better. And I'm not a delicate flower when it comes to criticism. I welcome it, constructive criticism. I welcome it. I want to know how I'm doing here. I want to know what you want to see, what you need. Yes, this is my space to share, but it's got to be a give and take, I think, to some degree. And I want to know how everybody's doing, what you want me to bring to the table. As well as me sharing what I want to share. And the feedback was just great. You guys want the content and you want what I have to share, and that was so gratifying, so validating. So thank you so much for that. And you know what? I did go back and look at a couple of episodes, and I watched a few tutorials. I watched many tutorials actually in the last few days about how to configure your camera, where to look, things like that. And a lot of podcasters agree. So many podcasters agree that it is very, very difficult. I don't want to go off on this again, but it is very difficult, but it's a practice. So you know what? Episode 29 is going to be me focusing on that camera today. And I'm doing it for me, and not just because of negative criticism or anything like that, but because I do look at podcasts where the podcaster is really looking at the audience, and it's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. So again, I will try my best to train myself to practice. And a few of you also so gently and so lovingly made suggestions to put a post-it over the screen, to put a little dot. If I still need to sort of have the screen off in my side vision, that's fine, but to put a little sticker or a little dot near the camera just so I have something to focus on. And it was great, very, very helpful. And you know what, I say this to people around me, I say it to my children all the time, my husband says it to me all the time. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's how you get your message across. And everyone's messages were just so spot on and so encouraging. So thank you so very much. Okay, also in the comments, holy cow, the reason why you want to knit socks, you guys. Again, the comments were twofold. Part of it was feedback on where I'm looking, and the other part was your love of sock knitting, why you want to knit socks, why you're afraid to knit socks. And honestly, some of you, I just wanted to scoop you up and give you a hug. It's okay. You can do this, you guys. You really can. I in a perfect world, there would be a way for me to just beam you all in Star Trek style, to just beam you all into my basement or into a big gathering place. And we all knit together once a week, and then I beam you back home. But that's not possible. I know somebody's working on that somewhere, but it's not possible yet. So this is what I have. I have this podcast, and I have the Ravelry group. You guys, there's nothing to be afraid of. I have tried to be as encouraging as I can, and I will continue to be encouraging. I will get on my soapbox. I will get my pom-poms and shake them for all of you to just pick up the needles, cast on your socks. You will not be disappointed. Someone said to me years ago that socks are the perfect micro canvas, this little mini canvas for trying so many techniques in knitting. There's so many ways to cast on. There's so many different textures to try, cables and different things you can do with knit stitches and purl stitches, with color work, with binding off, with different types of heels. There's so many options, I mean, countless. And I'm so happy that so many of you have decided to just, take fear by the collar and say, all right, done, enough. Get behind me, go away, sit in the back of the bus, sit in the back seat, whatever you need to tell fear, if you need to address it directly, whatever you need to do to get over this fear and start knitting your socks, do it. It doesn't matter to me, just do it and let's have fun. There are over 200 new members in the Ravelry group. What? So excited. It's not a huge group to begin with, but the fact that we've gone from 300 to over 500 is, and those are just people wanting to learn to knit socks, has just blown me away. I am so grateful for your confidence in me to help you with this. I really am. That you're trusting me to guide you through this knitting process is really important to me, and I will try my best not to let any of you down. It's about, what time is it right now? It's about 1:30 right now, and I have spent the last almost 2.5 to 3 hours just updating the Ravelry group, talking to people, replying to comments and messages, replying to questions. I can't do that every single day, but I will go in, I will read, I will like your posts if it's just a likable post with just an update on your progress. I will give quick little congratulations, you're doing great. I think that's what people need, is that encouragement. I'd love to write you messages this long, but then I can't get to everybody if I do that. So I will do my best to keep up with all of you. Like I said, I spent the morning doing that, and the questions were great. I mean, really great questions. And I'm going to go into answering some of those questions, making a list of the questions, general sock questions that are really great, and addressing them here on the podcast. Not necessarily this episode, but I think they're questions that a big audience would want to hear the answers to. So I'm going to do that. And I'm continuing to update the resources, the information thread. I updated that today as well. So yes, we are also... This podcast was supposed to run from March 1st to May 31st, but 8 days in, and I've already decided to extend it. I think we're going to go to, I'm extending the podcast until August 31st. That gives everybody 6 full months of sock knitting, of support, of community. I felt like, just from reading all of the comments on last week's podcast episode and all of the comments and questions and messages that I've gotten in the Ravelry group, I don't think 3 months is enough. I really don't. I think people need ongoing support. It may take them 6 months to knit that one sock, not even a pair, but just one sock, and explore all of the different options. And I would love to keep the threads open and keep the Ravelry group going as a support system for you all. It may even go past, unofficially go past August 31st. I'm still going to be checking into that thread, so I want everybody to have those resources and that support. So officially, the CAL has been extended. The No Fear Sock CAL dates are now March 1st to August 31st. That is 6 months of blissful sock knitting for all of us. So yay! I'm really excited about that. I felt like that was necessary. And the way, I just want to talk about the way this CAL is working so far. Again, in a perfect world, I could beam you all in here and we could all sit together once a week and go over things, and, you know, I could help each person individually, but that can't happen. So what I've done is sort of a create your own adventure type of CAL, where I provide tutorials, books, patterns, resources, links to various things, and you all can pick and choose what you want to explore. All four that I am aware of sock knitting techniques are covered. You have 2 circular needles, double pointed needles, magic loop, and 9-inch circular needles. And a huge thank you to Ellen. Hi Ellen, if you're watching. She is Knit by a Lefty on Instagram for reminding me about the 9-inch circular needles. I hadn't, not that I hadn't considered it, but I just forgot and just didn't think of it. So thank you, Ellen, for reminding me to include that. So those are your 4 basic techniques for knitting socks. And I have included links and tutorials on how to do all of those techniques. Some of the tutorials, all of them are from YouTube. Some of them are part 1. I've linked part 1 for you. As you're watching, you'll realize that there's part 2s, 3s, 4, part 2, part 3, part 4 to many of those tutorials. Just for lack of time, I didn't see the need to list all of the parts, but you'll see that some of them are ongoing tutorials on YouTube. So the beauty of that is you don't have to worry about asking the same question more than once, pestering somebody. Not that you are, but I know many people are going to feel that way. Having to get into your car every time you have a question and drive down to your local yarn shop, or, you know, contacting a knitting teacher or anything like that. These tutorials are there on YouTube for you to watch over and over and over again. If you don't understand something and you just need to see it again, press rewind, back up the video a little bit and watch it again and watch it again. If it's 10 o'clock at night and you're up knitting and you don't remember how to do a German short row, or you can't remember how to do the fish lips kiss heel, or you need to look something up again, whatever the case may be. Or, hey, you know what, somebody said something about that. I think there's a tutorial. Let me go check the information thread in the Ravelry group. You can go in. It's all there for you. It is there for you 24 hours a day. That is the goal, to have an ongoing resource for you to find the information you need for your sock, for your sock knitting journey. And I'm calling it a journey because people are usually apprehensive at the beginning of a journey. They're excited at the beginning of a journey. They don't quite know what to expect. If you're traveling to a new country for the first time, you're like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm so excited. I've got my passport. I'm ready to go. And there's a little bit of trepidation. You're not quite sure what to expect when you get there. And that's what's happening, or that's how I sort of interpret sock knitting as well, or just any kind of knitting. You're not quite sure, are you going to like DPNs over 2 circs? You don't know yet. You might have to try it and journey along and see what you think. You might say, ugh, this is so not for me. Jump into another method. It's providing these resources for you to help your sock knitting progress with as little frustration as possible. So there you go. So I've covered techniques. I've covered how the thread is running, how the CAL is running right now. And I do have to say a big thank you to Cynthia. Hi Cynthia, if you're watching. She is Cynthia G. Wilson on Ravelry, and she's been incredible. No one has asked her to help with this Cal. I didn't know of her before the Cal started. She has joined the group, she's joined the Cal, and she is such a resource and a help to everyone. When I went in today to catch up on messages, she had replied to so many people's questions already and provided links and feedback and information. It just made my heart swell. It made me so happy, and I reached out to her in a message to thank her for her help. She didn't have to do that, and she did. And she said, you know, she really enjoys, she remembers when she was a brand spanking new beginner and wanting people to help and understanding the need for feedback. So Cynthia, thank you so very much. I'm blown away by your generosity. Thank you so much. And all of the links that she's providing, and everybody, there's other people providing patterns. That's the thing. Ravelry is huge. It is thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of users are on Ravelry, and there are so many patterns. I mean, when you look up sock patterns, there's, I don't know, well over 100 pages worth of patterns with maybe 10 to 12 patterns per page. There's so many. There is no way that I can possibly be familiar with them all. So this is a group effort, you guys. If you know of a pattern, a beginner pattern that I may not be aware of, a book that I may not have listed, let me know. Send it to me in a message, or just go ahead and hyperlink it in the thread that you're in the chatter thread, in the information thread. Go right ahead. I welcome that. I'm not, you know, the leader of the Cal sitting in the ivory tower, just, you know, this is my Cal, I'm the only one who can make the rules. No. I want everybody to pitch in, and I want us all to help each other. So please continue to add your pattern links and tutorial links. Somebody listed to a Norwegian cast on. It's just been fantastic. So please continue to do that. Checking my notes a little bit more here. Just have fun with it, you guys. Have fun. And like I said, I will collect a sampling of some of the more common questions that are coming along. There was a question about measuring your feet. Whether you're knitting for yourself or you're gifting the socks, and you're not quite sure how to guarantee a proper fit, there is an amazing tutorial on how to do that within the Fish Lips Kits pattern. It's really an ebook. It's not just a pattern for the heel itself. It's also an ebook on how to measure your feet, how to get the proper fit for your socks. It is a top down. It gives information for cuff or top down, as well as toe up. It is such a valuable resource, and that was written by Socks Therapist. So thank you. And I know her name is Patricia. Patricia, if you're watching, thank you so much for that incredible resource. I think when people first look at the ebook, it looks a little daunting, but don't let it. It is a wealth of information for you. So please take the time to read it. Pick the method that you're most interested in. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna come clean. I've only knit one pair of toe-up socks, but I really want to change that because I want to knit a pair of knee-highs. And we'll talk about that more later. But the best way to do that is to knit toe up, because not the best way, but another way is toe up, because you can then maximize as much of the yarn as possible. If you're knitting a knee-high sock from the cuff down, it can be a little bit yarn chicken by the time you get to the end, hoping you have enough yarn and trying to gauge it and decide. And yes, there's math to do that, but if you're like me, you may not always be in the mood to do the math, so you can just knit toe up and knit until the yarn runs out. You can tell when you've got enough just to finish off a cuff. So, and then there's bind offs for that. So yes, there's so many resources, you guys. This is going to be ongoing for sure. There is so much to share. So stay tuned. So that is, I think, everything I wanted to talk about with the Sock Cal. And I'm also going to be putting out I did when I first set up my Ravelry group, but I'm going to revive it, a community corkboard where I'm going to invite yarn dyers, indie dyers, project bag makers, stitch markers, progress keepers, sock designers, if you are a part of the sock knitting world in any way, this community corkboard is for you. And anybody watching here, the corkboard is going to be open for you to post your business Let us know about the yarns that you're dyeing. Post pictures of your yarns. If you'd like to offer the group a coupon code, and the coupon code would be for the group and for the Cal. If you'd like to contribute a coupon code, feel free to do that. You can create the name of the code yourself. It could be whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to, I'm inviting you here to do that, and I'm also going to put up an invitation for that on in my Insta story on Instagram. So if you know indie yarn dyers, please encourage them. You know, fledgling sock designers, this is your opportunity. This is going to be a space for you to share your wares with us all. So there you go, you guys. I could talk about this all day, but again, I want to keep this short. So that is everything as of today for the sock cal. I also wanted to share with you, I do have a finished object for today. I don't really know how I'm doing that either, because my main focus is on the sweater, and I'll talk about that in just a bit, but I did have to share these socks with you. Oh my God. Let's pull back, guys. Look at these. Woo! Oh my God, I'm choking. I'm choking in my excitement, you guys. I'm choking. These make me so happy. I know I'm a little obsessive compulsive about my socks stripes, my sock stripes lining up, but oh, the satisfaction when you look at a pair of socks and everything matches almost perfectly. And these are not absolutely perfect, okay? They're not absolutely perfect. If you look, the toes right here, if you notice, there is not a brown tip on this toe, and if you look, the blue speckles, oops, hold on, the blue design in here is a little bit different between these two socks. So I think just how this yarn was dyed, and I think that commercial, and for those of you out there that know better, please let me know, but I do believe that it's a math formula that's used for commercial dyeing for striped socks like this, for stripy sock yarn like this. I could be wrong, but I believe I read that somewhere or heard that somewhere. So it's possible the formula was a little bit off. However it was dyed, it was ever so slightly off, but I love that little brown on the tip of the sock because I'm an earthy girl and it's an earthy toe. And I just love that. But look at these socks! Can you stand it? I can't stand it. I love them so much. So this yarn is Opal. Opal, Socken, okay, let's start again. Opal, Socken, Kirkus. Of course, I will put that down here for you, and it's color number 2006. I have posted these on Instagram in progress, and people have asked about the colorway. I've told them the colorway, and many people have been looking for this yarn. I do believe it is discontinued. Everywhere that I've looked online to purchase this yarn have it listed as discontinued. You may be able to find, somebody may have a skein available for sale on Ravelry, or maybe eBay. If you want to keep digging, if you find a skein, I would love to know where you found one. I do have a little bit of this left. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but yes, so that is the information on these socks. The required sock on either side of the face picture. Here they are, you guys. So that is my one FO for this episode, and I want to give you wait. I know I had a couple more things. It's the last episode we talked about that. I want to talk about. I am loving my test knit, you guys. Can we talk about that for a second? I sort of bit off more of this pie, of the knitting pie, than I realized I could probably handle. I'm not doing a terrible job, but I wish I could be doing more, and I wish there was more time. I started the cal, as I said in the last episode, I started the cal right at the same time when I was starting this test knit. So I don't have as much time as I want to devote to the cal. That is another reason why I've extended it, because I feel like I'm almost losing most of March with you, because this test knit is over on the 24th. That said, I'm loving it. Oh my gosh, I'm loving, loving, loving it. If you want to call it, I try very hard not to call it selfish knitting, because I don't think that's fair. I'm knitting for me, and it's making me so happy, and I deserve to be happy in my knitting projects. All of us do. All of you do. and I'm delighted. So yes, let me show you where I am in this. Hold on, let's just make this neat because I have 3 parts of this sweater going right now. So here is my first sleeve. I'm gonna cover my face a little bit here, you guys. Here's the first, so in order to get it all in, here's the first sleeve. And as you can see, the color work is right down here. I'm shifting my gaze because I really do need to look at this right now. The color work portion is here, and I was really worried that this portion in here was going to be too subtle. I love it. I love it so much. There's little speckles all throughout the sleeve that reflect these colors. So sleeve number 1, I've tucked the rest of the ball in because the instructions were to leave this connected. So sleeve number 1 is done, and I've left in all of my markers for the increases. There were specific instructions for the increases, but it is a little bit difficult, and I can read my knitting, but it is a little hard to see where the increases are in this yarn. It's this yarn is Lettlopi, which is an Icelandic yarn, and it is very fuzzy. It has a lot of halo to it, so sometimes it can get a little cloudy, for lack of a better word, where the increases are. So I just marked them on this, and it's just so much easier, and I'm ready to do, all of these are in place, so now I can do the next sleeve. So here is sleeve number 1, and I've cast on the body. Look at this, you guys. The body is cast on. Woohoo! And this is a good amount. I'm here. Let me try to go back a little bit. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's supposed to be 17 inches. So I don't have, my arm is up in the air, so I'm sort of, it's not the right length. It's not a true representation, but this is supposed to be, flop back down in my chair. This is supposed to be 17 inches long, and I've got, this is probably, I'd say this is about 10 or 12, maybe closer to 12 at this point. So I have about 5 inches left, and then I've already cast on the other sleeve. So to hold everything up, I think I'm doing pretty good right now. The goal is, my goal, sorry, I'm shifting a little bit. I know that's annoying. So my goal is to finish the body and the second sleeve by Sunday. And the sleeve goes, I know that may seem a little bit crazy to some of you, but the sleeve actually goes really fast. You're starting with, well, all right, you're starting with few stitches. I don't want to give away numbers or anything like that. And you're only adding about another 30 stitches with your increases. So it goes really quick. It's a very small circumference, so that's going to go pretty fast. So my goal is to finish by Sunday is the 10th. So finish everything by the 10th, and then that gives me 14 days, 2 full weeks to get the yoke done. And for those of you that don't remember, let me just grab the sweater here and show you, just to refresh your memory. Hold on, here. Wait, that's not a good picture. Okay, here. So yeah, here is what the sweater looks like, and I'm doing this yoke, this size, the men's size medium, but with this colorway, color pattern in here. So I'm giving myself 2 weeks to get this done. Will I need it? I don't, sorry, you know what, I'll sort this out later. Will I need it? I don't know, but I'd rather give myself that time. I don't think I'm gonna need the full 2 weeks, but I'd like to give myself that much time as a cushion, so I'm not stressing, I'm not rushing through the end of the sweater. And this color work, as I said also in the last episode, the color work is really interesting because, let me hold this up again. Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy, you guys. Just giggling. And look, here are my floats. I know some of you would probably want to see the inside. There are the floats, you guys. Oh, I'm so proud of this already. Oh my gosh, this makes me deliriously happy. That's where I've tied off my strands on the inside to weave in later. One thing about this, if you notice in here, there's 3 colors going on, and there's 3 colors going on in the repeat here. 3 colors in one row. So it was a little challenging I've never done that before. I've never held 3 colors at the same time. So I think I said in the last episode that I did find a technique. It was a video on YouTube where you pick up one color, drop it, pick up the next color, drop it, and keep going. Yeah, that was okay on the cuff because, as you can see, the cuff is really small and it's only 10 rows high and 8 stitches wide. Sorry, I dropped the ball. But to do that on the bottom, the hem there of that sweater, I was going crazy. And I couldn't keep, with that many stitches, I also couldn't keep the tension right, and it did not look good at all. So it was late one evening while I was playing with it, and I remembered that I had a little tool in my stash of tools. Knitting is not just collecting yarn, you guys. It's collecting little tools and devices and stitch markers and things like that to help make the knitting that much more enjoyable. And I found this. This was in my stash of supplies, and it's a little, see if you can see, it's a little guide. Can you see the hooks right here and here and here? There's 3 little hooks, and what you do is the yarn hooks under like this. So then you would have your different colors. So you'd have 2 colors on this side, and I'm holding this on my left hand. Of course, I'm facing you, so it looks like my right, but I'm holding it in my left hand, continental. So I have 2 colors coming from this finger, 1 color coming from this finger, and then I'm working. It's so much fun. It makes me so excited. It really does. And if you've been watching this podcast for a while, you know that knitting things like this just make me so happy and genuinely excited. Oh my gosh. This felt like, I felt like the smartest person in the world holding 3 strands going at one time. I really did. It was just so entertaining. And this little guide is called a Boye, B-O-Y-E, finger guide. Here's the packaging. I saved this, of course. And the beauty of this is it comes with 3 sizes for fingering weight or really fine yarn, for medium weight yarn like a worsted, and then for bulky. Just in the little bit that I did on the hem with this, I felt the yarn was more secure. It's a worsted weight yarn I'm using, but it felt a little bit more secured. I had a little more friction, which I needed, or a little more tension, which I needed with the fingering weight guide added on. And it just sits comfortably. It's a rubber or silicone band, and it sits quite comfortably on my finger. So then I thought, okay, there's got to be more of these. And of course I went online and did some research looking for other guides, because this can't be the only one. And I actually found 2 others because I wanted to have another one of those, because now I'm afraid of losing it. And I found this one. So this little guide, and this is by Clover. This one's by Clover. And it's just called a yarn guide. This one's a little bit more common. I've actually seen this one in yarn shops. And this one you can hold up to 4. Just hold this for you. You can hold, so this goes on this way, and it has just an expandable, it's plastic, so it just expands to fit your finger. It's only this one size sort of fits most, and it can hold up to 4 yarns at a time. So you thread your yarn through and then just snap that into place. And I think it goes, just looking, oh wait, I have it on backwards. It goes like this. So the length of it is facing your hand. And that's how it goes. So you just weave your yarn in, and then you hold them into place here, and you knit away. So that is by Clover, the Clover Yarn Guide. And then I found one more. All of the tutorials, yeah, pretty much all the tutorials, or most, I think I might have found one that didn't use it. Most of the tutorials on YouTube used this guide. And this is called a Norwegian knitting thimble. The brand is LoRan, L-O-R-A-N. So if you see that here, it's a LoRan Norwegian knitting guide, and this is what's more commonly used. So you have a yarn coming from here and one coming from here, and honestly, I haven't used it yet, but I can already see that it will work really well. And watching the tutorials, there's that space that you're going to get between the yarns, which you don't get not as much space. Not that you don't get it, but you don't get as much space with these two. Keeps the yarns a little further apart and helps you catch them a little better, catching them continental style. Excuse me. This one works a little bit better for that. So I'm going to play with these over the next couple of weeks, because there's quite a few projects, colorwork projects that I want to work on, you know, after the cowl. But this is a great tool, and it just made the knitting flow so much faster. And again, this is the one I was using. It made the knitting flow so much faster to have this on, and the yarns just cross on their, well, float. They just float across the back of the knitting perfectly just on their own. I didn't have to catch. Now this particular repeat, a friend of mine, Rachel, who is Treehouse Knits, asked me how you trap your floats if you have to trap. That I'm not sure of yet. I haven't gotten that far in terms of practicing with this, because the repeat that I'm using was only 8 stitches wide, so there wasn't a need to trap your floats. And you'd want to trap your floats if you have to carry the yarn further than 5 stitches. That's the customary thing to do, but I didn't have to do that in this case. So I'd have to practice with this a little bit more to see how I would trap floats if necessary on a larger repeat, and just to get more comfortable with it, because the way I was holding the yarn, I had it wrapped around my pinky and was so the yarn was flowing this way across the back of my hand. But someone in the tutorial for this little thimble suggested holding the yarn this way, so the yarn would be feeding through my closed fingers, and that would be providing just enough tension for you when using this one. So I'm actually going to try that technique on this one and the other one. So again, it's a new tool. It's a new to me technique, a new to me tool. So far the results are outstanding, and I really can't wait to play with this a little more. And I also think when I get to the yoke, and the reason I want to play with it is when I get to that yoke, that's a lot of stranding. The repeats are bigger, a lot more stitches that you're navigating, you're now decreasing to get to the neck. There's a lot more going on. So I really want to get the hang of it, and that's another reason for giving myself that 2-week, that 14-day period, in case I make a mistake and I have to rip anything out, go back, really meticulously keeping track of where I am with the yoke and with all of these little devices to help me along. So there you go, you guys. I think I've covered everything I wanted to get in this episode. I'm just kind of glancing around. Yeah, I think that's what I have for you today. Like I said, I wanted to give you an update on the cowl, on the sock cowl, show you a finished object, just update you on my progress on my sweater. It's good, you guys. It's really, really, really good. And there's a couple more things happening, but I'll share them with you in upcoming episodes. I've got so much energy right now and so much enthusiasm for our knitting community. I think things are good. Things are really good, and I'm feeling really happy, really calm, very centered, very, very centered right now. I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what lights me up. And yes, my family lights me up and my children do, but that's a separate life for me. That's completely separate from my knitting life. And my kids, as I've said before, they know Mommy loves yarn. And I always say to them, I love you more than yarn. And they know, as I said before, that's a lot of love. They know that. But it's knitting just makes me excited. The possibilities are endless. And everybody's knitting, everybody across the gamut of backgrounds. So many of us knit, and this is our unifying thread, and no pun intended. I'm just happy. I'm happy, and I'm having a good time, and I want as many of you to join in, and I want to send all of that positivity out to you all. Knit your socks. If socks are not for you, no one's forcing you to knit them. You knit what makes you happy, but whatever you're knitting, I hope it does make you happy. And come and take a look at the thread at the Ravelry group. There, you may be working on something and there may be information, even though right now it's being geared towards socks, but there may be a lot of information in there that could be helpful to you in other projects. So come and have a look there. Come and join the group. There's good things. I think there's something out there for all of us. Something for all of us, something that lights us all up. And for me, this is it. Having this space, having you all supporting me, it just makes me really happy, you guys. I'm sorry to get emotional. I just do very easily. Because it means a lot. And I thank you very, very, very much for being here, for sharing your time with me. I also just realized I've done this in one take. It's 40 minutes of just continuous. I haven't paused once. So that's also a first for me. I don't think I've ever done that. I also think I've maintained my line of sight pretty well, my focus on the camera pretty well for this episode. At least it's a good start. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining the Cal. Thank you for all of your support, for all of your comments, for sharing your stories with me and your backgrounds. Oh, and I also wanted to say hello to Danielle. Danielle, hello. I received an email from Danielle this week, and the title of the email was Longest Knitter Email Ever. EVAH. And yes, it was a very, very long email. But it was so delightful to read, and to read Danielle's story and everything that she wanted to share with me. I was so touched by it all. Thank you, Danielle, for inviting me into your home, for watching my podcast, for the email that you sent. It was wonderful. And I will be replying to your message, but I definitely wanted to say hello to you here. Hello again. And to everyone else that has emailed. I did have another message. I think it's from Heather, and I have to reply to her. She had a question about thumbs on a mitten, so I will get to that as well. Thank you for this interaction, you guys. You all are part of my knitting community, and I'm so grateful to have you all with me. So that's all I have. Thank you again. I will see you all again next week for another update, for more information. I might even sneak in a couple of rounds on a sock because as much as I'm loving the sweater, my fingers need the tiny needles and tiny yarn. So yeah, I have a sock that's been languishing, a stripy, scrappy sock that's been languishing for a while. So I want to pick that up again and get that finished. So thank you all so much. I will hopefully see you all next week. Thank you for being here. Have a good week. You all are the best. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Hi everybody. I almost forgot, I signed off and said my goodbyes, but I almost forgot to announce the winner of the knitting planner giveaway. I did announce the names on Instagram this past week, but I realized I should do that here as well. And the winners are, I should say. If you remember, I was giving away 2 copies, one here on YouTube and one on Instagram. So the winner on Instagram is Angela, and she is the Back Road Knitter. Her prize has already been sent out to her. And the YouTube winner is Sandy Grogg. Hi, Sandy, if you're watching. I am so excited for you both. Congratulations. Sandy, I did send you a message in response to your comment in the last episode, but I haven't heard back from you. You might not have seen it, and that's fine, but hopefully if you watch this episode, you will hear your name called. I just need you to get in touch with me. You can send me a private message on Instagram, or you can send me an email, earthtonesgirl@gmail.com, with all of your contact information, and I will get the planner mailed out to you right away. Congratulations again. I don't know how I got through, actually I do, I was so distracted talking about the knit along and the sweater that I completely forgot to mention the Cal. So I apologize, and for those of you that were anxiously waiting, there are the winners. Congratulations again to you both, Angela and Sandy. And again, have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.